This story starts at a manor where Lamille Claude cried out, her voice full of desperation. Please, let me do it! Let me get married! Her father, Shale Claude, and her brother Sebri Claude get stunned shock upon hearing that. They looked over at her with a disapproving frown. Her mother Liara Claude sighed in frustration. Why are you being so childish today? She flailed on the ground crying. Because you won't give me permission otherwise. If you're really that against my marriage, then just step on me and leave. Why don't you? Without a second's delay, her mother stomped her. Arg, come on, she said. Mom, how could you? Her mother interrupted. You're the one who said to step on you, Lamille asked. Then are you going to stab me too if I tell you to? Her mother muttered, pulling her sword. I don't see why not. Then Lamille quickly backpedaled. I misspoke, dear mother. Let's all sit down first, she suggested with a weary sigh. Then she said, I'm serious about this. Then her father asked, You weren't even interested in marriage, let alone dating, until just yesterday. Why are you suddenly insisting on getting married now? I told you, Lamille replied, trying to steady her voice. I've admired him for a long time. Her mother raised an eyebrow. All right, let's go with that. But why Viscount Arnon of all people? This morning, she realized she had been reincarnated. She read a news article from where she deduced the world she was in. Viscount Ro Arnon? That character from The Broken Sword? She thought. I wasn't reincarnated into just any world. It's the novel that had my favorite character. I'll actually get to meet Ro. Bless this new life. The Broken Sword was a tragic story told from the perspective of Ro Arnon, a noble imperial knight and revered hero. From the very beginning, his life was cursed. His heart core burst, leaving him unable to walk or use his aura. Stripped of his swordsmanship, he was forced to resign as a knight. From there, he lost everything, his family, his home, and descended into a villain's path. Lamille clenched her fists. I refused to just stand back and watch him suffer like that. She knew Ro would never accept help from a stranger, she decided. In that case, I'll have to become his close associate first. She considered her options. Should I be his friend? No, there's a limit to what a friend can do. Then, his lover? That would be nice. But what if we break up? I guess there's only one option left. I'll marry him. I'll turn his path of gory blood into a path of gorgeous flowers. Back to present, her mother looked aghast. You know about his situation, don't you? Yet you still want to marry him? Yes, she answered without hesitation. She remembers. In the original story, Ro lost so much. But he eventually recovered the core in his heart, and with it, he was able to walk again, she said. I believe he can get back on his feet, and I want to be by his side when he does. Her mother huffed. Mill. Is she still against it? She wondered, glancing at her mother, but then she hardened her resolve. I can't give up on my favorite character, she said. No matter how much you oppose it, I won't back down. Her mother relented. Do what you want. She looked at her mother in shock. Her mother added, You're the one getting married, not me. Do what you want. She blinked in surprise. It's this easy? No, I won't allow this. A voice roared. Her brother demanded. How in the world can you be okay with this? Turning to their father. Upon hearing that, she thinks, is he actually worried about his big sister? Gosh, I'm kind of moved. It makes no sense, he continued, flustered. Viscount Arnon did nothing wrong. Why should he be forced to marry Lamille? He might as well just move to another country. This little brat. Lamille muttered under her breath, feeling rage. I didn't do anything wrong either. You don't know anything about me, Sebri retorted, shaking with emotion. You do have a point. Then her mother said calmly. You've never met Viscount Arnon in person, have you? I'm not expecting him to say yes right away either, Lamille admitted. But if I continue to express my feelings to him, I believe my sincerity will reach him sooner or later. Then her father eyed her thoughtfully. So then if you do get married, are you going to move into the Viscount's manor? No, she replied. If he accepts my proposal, I plan to ask him to come here. She looked outside from the window thinking. Life in the capital has brought Ro so much misery. There's no better place to heal his body and soul than right here. At Arnon Manor, Ro gathered his servants and looked over them with quiet gratitude. I know your contracts haven't ended yet, he began softly. I just wanted to sincerely thank you all in advance. While the servants sobbed, he continued. I'm sure you must find me uncomfortable, but I thought it best to tell you this in person, a butler of his said. We don't find you uncomfortable at all. We have the utmost respect for you, my lord, Roel said. Thank you for your kind words. Roll's eyes lowered, thinking, but how could anyone respect a useless lord like me? He looked at each of them in turn. Thank you, Jack, for always making the library a welcoming place for me. Chris, thank you for always putting a smile on my face with your garden work. And Yuni, thank you for your delicious meals. I always looked forward to them. Tears brimmed in their eyes. Oh, my lord, they thought silently. As the servants were leaving, Roll thought, if I could, I would have given them a pat on the shoulder instead. Then he turns his wheelchair and said aloud, I should get some rest now. And with a quiet sigh, he thought to himself, I'm sure I'll have no one come visit me anymore. Then a carriage came with which Lemille Claude came. A servant greeted her and said, I shall bring his lordship here. Please wait a moment. Lemille glanced around the sparsely decorated room and thinks, should I say he's modest? Or just broke? A short while later, a man appeared before her after knocking. I heard you were looking for me. Looking at his fine face, she exclaimed inwardly, God damn. She quickly straightened herself. Hello? My name is Lemille Claude. It is an honor to meet you, Roll Arnon. But inside she was in awe, talking to her favorite character. Roll gave her a polite nod. Roll Arnon, a pleasure to meet you too. If I'm not mistaken, this is our first time meeting. May I ask why you've come here? Nice. I expected him to ask that. Lemille drew a breath. She said, I know this is rather sudden, but I have an offer for you, my lord. She stepped closer and knelt in front of him. Viscount Roll Arnon, she began boldly. Will you be my groom? Roll gets stunned for a moment, then he fell in thoughts. As he was busy thinking, Lemille quickly concluded, Wait, he looks like he's about to reject me. Then time for plan B, she said. I come from a family of knights. Then she displayed her swordsmanship in front of him and said, I am a knight too, of course. And as a fellow knight, I've always admired you, my lord. She remembers in her mind. Plan B. Reveal that I come from a family of knights, and that as a fellow knight, I've always admired him. Roll clenches his hands and said, As a fellow knight, you say? Seeing him, Lemille thinks, that's not the reaction I was hoping for. But, he continued, looking away, I can no longer wield a sword. Upon hearing that, she thought, this isn't what I was going for. No, what I meant by that was, Lemille faltered. She thought, I should have just gone with love at first sight. Roll let out a sigh. I don't even know you that well. Regardless of your reason for proposing to me, this is all too sudden. Lemille lowered her gaze. He's right. I may know everything about Roll from the novel I read in my past life, but he knows nothing about me. She walked to him and said, I should have considered your feelings too. Forgive me. No, Roll said softly. I should be the one apologizing. You proposed to me out of admiration, she then said. I understand. Right. I didn't expect to succeed in one shot anyway. Lemille smiled faintly. I'll go back and think of another plan. She was staying at an inn. When she returned, her servants and companions were there. One of them said, I didn't think you would give up and leave right away, my lady. Lemille flopped on the sofa and said, Well, I'm going to keep visiting him from now on anyway. I didn't want to give him a bad first impression. One of her companions said, I thought you'd just abduct him if he rejected you. You're a lot saner than I thought. Lemille blinked. Do I really look like the type who would abduct people? Yes, she said dryly. Even to someone doing a handstand on a horse. The other servants nodded in unison. Lemille glared at them, showing her sword. I prefer to skip that and go straight to murder, then scurried away hearing that. I should go prepare supper. I'll help you, someone chimed in. I'm going to see the innkeeper. Another called out as they scattered. As the door closes, she thinks, main characters from other stories always get married just fine. She imagined a few scenes. How dare you steal my heart, little bird? Now you need to marry me. Lemille chuckled at the imaginary line, then sighed. Maybe I should have been bold like that. Then quickly rejected those thoughts. Nah, then he would have just boldly rejected me. Feeling her existence crumbling away, the servants returned. Someone entered with a tray. My lady, please have your supper. She looked at them and said, You're back already? Great. Have a seat, all of you. She folded her hands on the table. There's a limit to what I can come up with on my own, so I need your help. She looked at them, expression serious. But they doesn't pay much attention and started talking about other things. She felt annoyed, then bribed them. 1 gold per suggestion. All of them turned focused. One said, Could you please restate the agenda of this meeting? Lemille said with eyes ablaze. How can I change Viscount Arnon's mind? You should show him how strong you are. One person offered. She replied. Rejected, other said. Then lure him in with your wealth. Do you have anything besides boasting my power and money? Lemille asked. Like something on the more romantic side? The third one said. But what other good qualities do you have besides those two? Lemil exclaimed, beaming. My face? The girl asked. Are you prettier than Viscount Arnon? Lemil grumbled. Obviously not, the girl said. See, Karel. Lemil turned hopefully. Do you have any ideas? I do have one thing in mind. Karel hesitated. She twitched, turning to her. Oh, later at Arnon's manor, Roel was testing a glass orb with Viscount Rosen. As it doesn't show any result, a middle-aged person said. It's still dormant. Forgive me. No, it's fine, Roel said gently. I knew the chances of the research being successful were slim, he asked. Oh, are you done clearing out your lab? The person nodded. Yes, I'm almost done. But the suspicious people I mentioned before came back. They seemed noticeably relieved when I told them the research was over. It didn't seem like their goal was to steal the results, Roel thinks. Then what could they be after? Changing the subject, the person asked. By the way, I heard a young lady visited you recently, Roel replied. Oh yes, Lady Lemil Claude, Count Claude's daughter, he asked. What brought her all this way? Roel replied. She asked me to marry her. But I declined, the person asked. What? Why so? Roel looked down. She said she admired me as a fellow knight. But as I am now, I'm nobody, the person sprung up saying. That's not true. You are an amazing person, my lord, but I'm also in debt, Roel said quietly. I've sold most of my belongings, yet I'm still so far below her in terms of wealth. I could never make her happy. The person huffed, walking to the window. He set aside a curtain when he heard clip-clops of a horse. Then he turns to Roel and asked, Where do you suppose Lady Lemil is right now? He replied. I would assume back home, the person asked. So you think it's already over? Roel replied. Isn't it obvious? She proposed to me. I rejected her. Of course it's over. But the others shook their head, looking outside. Unlike you, I believe Lady Lemil isn't going to throw in the towel just yet. Lemil came there again with a bouquet of flowers. A knock came at the door. He added, Lady Lemil Claude has come to see you, my lord. I'm here to propose to you again, Lemil announced boldly. As she gave him the bouquet, he said, As I pointed out last time, we've never even met before. We have now. She cut in cheerfully. Of course, you're free to reject me again. I'm not forcing you or anything. Roel sighed quietly. Then I'm afraid I'll have to decline once more. Forgive me. It's fine. No need to apologize, Lemil replied quickly, waving it off. She smirked, thinking, Because that's not all I'm here for today. But if you do feel bad, she added slyly, would you allow me to take a look around your manor? I happen to have a lot of interest in the capital's architecture. Roel's brow rose slightly. Is the architecture here somehow different? I'm not well versed in that field, he admitted. Of course, Lemil said, pointing dramatically at a ceiling corner. You see that corner there? The way it splits is a distinct feature of homes in the capital. Roel followed her finger, clearly unsure. She has no clue what she's talking about. I see, he said slowly, then turns his wheelchair, saying, Then I'll have someone give you a tour. Wait, Lemil interrupted. I'd like to take a look on my own. Would that be all right? Roel tilts his head. On your own? She replied. I have trouble focusing when there are other people nearby. You know how some people prefer to enjoy plays or artworks by themselves? He replied. I see. Then please do as you wish. She went to the second floor, hiding. She looked around, thinking, I did arrive on the second floor as planned. Now all that's left is to, coincidentally, run into that girl. But how am I supposed to do that? She paused in the hallway, recalling her plan. First of all, you have to become friends with those closest to him. Those closest to him? She had asked earlier. Yes, like his family or friends, Karel had advised. She replied, family or friends. But I'm pretty sure he doesn't have any family left. Then a thought crossed her mind. Wait, Roel has a little sister. Back to present. She drooped to the floor, saddened. So what if he has a little sister? I don't even know where she is. I should go back and rework this plan. Suddenly someone reached to her and said, Excuse me, are you okay? A small voice asked. Huh? Lemil turned. Oh, I think my head hurts a bit, she said inwardly. I found her this easily? A bit? But you can't even stand properly. You must lie down and rest, the girl exclaimed, clearly concerned. The girl tried to pull her up. Lemil stood up and said, Thank you. What's your name, by the way? The girl replied. I'm Army Arnon. Then she went to her room. While lying on the girl's tiny bed, Lemil thinks, I made it into her room. The plan's nearly a success now. Army looked at her curiously. Why have you come here, Lady Lemille? I had business with the esteemed Viscount Arnon. Lemille faltered. The girl repeated, esteemed? Lemille continued. Yeah. I come from a family of knights, so I've always wanted an audience. I mean, a chance to meet him. But my big brother can no longer wield a sword, Army said softly. These siblings are saying the exact same thing, Lemille thought. Then she asked, Do you like your big brother, Army? Of course, she said with wide eyes. I sure do, Lemille asked her. Why do you like him? She replied. He's always nice to me, and when his attendants make a mistake, he smiles at them instead of getting angry, Lemille pressed on. Anything else? Army continued. He always wants to help those in need. And if someone has been through trouble, he feels their pain with them. Right you are, Army. Lemille smiled. What you just told me are exactly the reasons I respect your brother. Then Army exclaimed. I think we have a lot in common. Then Lemille tapped on the bed beside her and said, I agree. Why don't you come sit here with me, and we can chat some more, the girl replied. Okay, Lemille patted her and asked. So what have you been reading? Oh, this book. Army held it up. It's called Procedures of Etiquette, she asked. Isn't this too difficult for you? The girl slumped. To be honest, I skipped through a lot of it because I don't understand, Lemille said. Then how about I come by often and give you etiquette lessons instead? The girl beamed. Really? Lemille showed her pinky and said, Sure. It's a promise. Both of them linked their pinkies. Lemille thinks in her mind, I managed to score an excuse for my next visit. Nice, Lemille squealed inwardly. Thanks to this cute, squishy, strawberry marshmallow, I'm now one step closer to completing. Mission. Get Roll walking on a path of flowers. That evening at Lemille's inn. Hang on, my lady, Carel stammered. In Procedures of Etiquette, please tell me I'm wrong here. Recite the most basic of basic manners regarding tea time. Don't be late, Lemille replied confidently, but Carel froze. My lady, her attendant wailed. Open your book right this instant. Why? Lemille groaned, already regretting making that promise. 5 years ago, Roll was a civilian commander at that time. Civilian commander, a rank of a knight commander given to a commoner. He was about to take a break after he finished his work. Then a soldier came calling. Civilian commander. As Roll turns to him, the soldier pointed to a girl and said, We've found a survivor, a child. The commander's eyes narrowed as he stepped closer. She seems to be the only one left alive in this village, the soldier reported solemnly. Roll said, sheathing his sword. I see. Then take her to the refugee camp. But sir. The soldier hesitated, glancing around. The camp can't take in any more people. The higher-ups said to ignore any survivors from now on. The commander's eyes turned cold. Are you serious? He snapped. Take that child to the refugee camp. Right now. Another voice cut in with a sneer. You must have a lot of free time if you're standing around here chit-chatting. As Roll turns to the voice, the person said, You look familiar. Roll glanced at his brooch and realized. He's part of the noble knightage. He bowed and said, I am Roll Arnon, the civilian commander. The noble muttered in surprise. He's a commoner? Then said, Wait, you Roll Arnon? So you're that monster who can kill dozens of people in a day. I never expected to see you here. The knight grinned. How many did you slay today? Roll answered. About 20, the knight jolted, then said, Hand over that accomplishment to me. Then I'll let that little girl enter the refugee camp. Roll stared at him. What is he saying? He thought bitterly. Are all knights from noble families like him? He glanced at the girl, then nodded. Very well, as you wish. The knight smirked, tapping his shoulder. You're much more sensible than I thought. Then Roll looked at the girl and smiled. He patted her, and then carried her with him to the camp. After Lemille's visit to his manor, Roll and Army were having dinner. Lady Lemille came to my room today. Army beamed with excitement. She was so pretty, Roll asked. You met Lady Lemille? Army replied. Yes. She said she really respected you, so we talked a lot about how great you are, he replied, flustered. I see, she continued, cheerful. When I told her you're very nice, she agreed. And, Roll giggled, blushing. Army beamed. Oh. She saw the etiquette book I was reading and promised to visit often to help me learn. She offered to help Army? Roll's expression darkened with conflicted thoughts. Is it right to accept her help when I've already rejected her marriage proposal twice? But I won't learn from her if you don't want me to, Army said quickly, clearly picking up on his hesitation. Roll realized, she must have noticed my hesitation. Perhaps it's because she's lived through war, spent time in refugee camps, Roll thought. She's very sensitive to negative emotions. No, it's fine, he said at last. Really? Army asked, eyes lighting up. Roll thinks in his mind. She hasn't been able to make friends with noble daughters because of her commoner background. But because of my Viscount title, she hasn't been able to befriend commoners either. So she's always alone with her books. To her, Lady Lemille must feel like a friend, maybe even her first one in forever. Roll smiled softly. I was just surprised that she would offer such generosity. I see. You've met a very kind person, she quickly said. Yes. I want to meet her again soon. Roll thinks in his mind, she would have been so disappointed if I told her to stop seeing Lady Lemille. Later that day, Lemille laughed happily while walking in town. Wow, that was so much fun, my lady, Carel said with exaggerated patience. Since you've had fun all day, you must do some studying once we return. Lemille froze for a moment, then turns. Again? You forced me to take your etiquette lessons for 3 days straight. Don't you pity me at all? Carel said dryly. If you put it like that, it sounds like you did nothing but study for 3 whole days. The lessons only lasted 30 minutes, Lemille cried. Well, it was 30 minutes that felt like 30 hours. Carel waved it off. You didn't even focus for those 30-minute. Hush. That's not important. Lemille interrupted, getting closer to her. What's really important is my marriage, Carel countered. In that case, why don't we hurry back and study? Lemille quickly dashed away and said, No. Suddenly, Lemille's mood shifted. She slowed down. 2 cloaked person blocks her way. She thinks, there were people in front of me. One of them began. Lady Lemille Claude. Correct. She wonders. They know my name. Who are they? A group stood before her, eyes sharp. This seems fishy, she muttered under her breath. Huh! You've got the wrong person, she said, trying to play it off. One replied, hesitated. Is that right? But the first cut him off. We already know you're Lady Lemille. Ugh, if you already know, why ask? She muttered, frustrated. We're only going to ask you nicely once, the lead one said firmly. Leave the capital, she asked, confused. What now? She smirked. And if I refuse? The person glared. Then it can't be helped. I'll have to draw my sword. She let out a laugh. Haha, that's funny. She puts her guard up and was ready to engage. She quickly subdued them. She made them kneel and beg. While sitting on one, she said, You little punk, what the hell are you gawking at? Forgive me, the man yelped. Lemille commanded, calm and collected. Carel, watch the area for me, she complied. Yes, ma'am. She faced the thugs again. Now then, if you make me repeat myself, that'll be 1 punch per word. They quickly cried out, Yes, ma'am. Who hired you? She asked. The men hesitated, shifting uncomfortably. We don't exactly know who. You don't exactly know who, she echoed, cracking her knuckles. Okay, 5 punches it is, the first one shouts. No, wait. We really don't know. Please have mercy, she grumbled. Why take on this task if you don't even know who your client is? The first one replied. Well, money, of course, Lemille sighed. He's no different from my guys, she thought. So money is what you want, she said, smiling. Then let me give you a counter request. Apologies, one of them quickly cut in. While we may be crazy for money, we never betray our clients. Oh, really? Lemille said, feigning surprise. Oops, I accidentally dropped this little pebble. I've got heaps of them lying around at my house. She dropped a diamond to the ground. The men's eyes widened. That's, they immediately straightened up. We are here to serve, my lady. My name is Garan, the other said, and I'm Garan. She grinned. Great. I look forward to your services. Of course. Whatever you need, my lady. You're our VVIP client now. Garan beamed. Then we'll go take care of your job right away. Have a safe trip home, my lady. The other chimed. She replied. Thanks. You too. After they left, Carel muttered. All you did in the capital was propose to Viscount Arnon. How unsettling that you'd receive such a threat. But you really do only have power and money going for you. Lemille asked, Is there someone who doesn't want me to meet Viscount Arnon? Carel chimed in. Could it actually be the Viscount himself? What did you just say? Lemille asked suddenly. Carel quickly retracted. I mean, a noble lady that fancies the Viscount? Lemille said. I don't know about that. She remembers. In the original story, Roll never really had a love interest. An army even said they didn't get many visitors. Lemille frowned. I'll just ask him myself tomorrow. The next day, she stood with a bright smile. I'm asking just in case. Do you feel like accepting my proposal today? Third time's a charm, they say. Roll smiled. Haha. I feel like your bouquet gets bigger each time. She froze. That smile. Could it be? I'm sorry, Roll said gently. But I'll have to turn you down today too. Right. Still, at least Roll's response is a lot softer today, she thought, trying to stay optimistic. You've got a few petals on your head, he added with a light chuckle. Okay, so you've rejected me 3 whole times, Lamille said, tossing the bouquet away. Then the least you can do is answer my question, right? He glanced at her hesitating. She asked. Or are you going to turn me down yet again? She was looking desperate, twinkling. Pretty please. Roll gave a small sigh. All right. Ask away. Hooray! She cheered, then asked, by chance, are you seeing someone else right now? He sweated. Pardon? She said. I mean, thinking about it, it's not right for me to keep proposing if you already have a lover. No, Roll said firmly. I am not seeing anyone at the moment, she pressed on. Oh, but you used to? He replied. No. Never, she asked, shocked. You've never dated anyone before? He blushed, replying. No, I have not. Lamille stared at him. Maybe. I really should just abduct him. But then she frowned, thinking, wait, if there isn't another lady involved in this, then just who is trying to threaten me? Then Roll asked casually. By the way, Lady Lamille, did you offer to give army etiquette lessons? She replied. Yes, that's right. I plan to visit more often and teach her. I hope that's all right with you, he said. Of course. In fact, I'm grateful. Oh, but have you had anything to eat before coming here? She began. Of course She paused, noticing him slumping, and quickly changed. Was thinking of eating beforehand, but I had something to take care of, so I'm starving right now, she said inwardly. For you, I'll eat like it's my first meal of the day, he said. That works out perfectly. How about joining Army and me for dinner? She nods continuously. I've been starving myself precisely for this moment, Roll laughed. You're quite a peculiar one, Lady Lamille. He's smiling, she thought with glee. At the dining table, Lamille grinned. This is my chance to earn some brownie points. She turned to Army and said, Army, why don't we take this chance to practice some table manners? She instructed. Let's begin with how to sit. You need to come in from the right and leave from the left. Isn't it the opposite? Roll blinked. I thought it was the opposite, Army added. Lamille panicked. Is it the opposite? Then quickly said. I was just testing you with the wrong information, Army replied. I see, Lamille said. Why yeah, like I'd be that clueless, right? But moments later, Army questioned at another point. Isn't that only for fish dishes? Lamille said. I said that wrong on purpose. You're so smart, Army, Roll also noticed. Shouldn't that be done with the left hand? She laughed it off nervously. Right. You really are impossible to fool, aren't you? Ha ha. Her plan to leave impression went awry. After a few moments, Roll said, I think that's enough, Lady Lamille. She panicked, thinking, oh no. He must have caught on that I don't know a thing about etiquette. Should I just say I made a lot of mistakes because I was nervous? You've been so busy teaching Army, Roll said calmly, that you haven't touched your food at all. Please eat first. She blinked. So he hasn't caught on. Thank God. Sure, she said cheerfully, diving into the meal with relief. The next day, Roll was waiting for Lamille. He looked at the door and wonders, she always arrived around this time. Was she not coming today? He drooped, saddened a little. Then a knock brings him back. WH. What am I thinking? Then he brightens up, thinking. She's here, come in, he called out. Just then, the door opened. A familiar voice answered. It's been a while, my lord. Vidal, Roll said in surprise. Vidal greeted. Long time no see, Commander, Roll asked him. What brings you here? Vidal stepped closer, showing a document. Viscount Rosen asked me to take care of your pension application, Roll asked, confused. My pension? He sighed. Members of the National Knightage can receive a pension upon retirement. Did nobody tell you about it when you resigned? No, Roll said quietly, looking down. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. His eyes darkened. But the higher-ups must have known about my financial situation. Why did none of them tell me? Vidal noticed and said. I knew it. Nobles really can't get anything done properly. Then, quickly, he smiled and straightened. Do not worry, my lord. As an official for the Ministry of Finance, I'll make sure you get every last cent you deserve, Roll asked. What? An official? You left the order? Well, you see, he said sheepishly. After you left, the workload became quite unbearable. How so? He asked. Whenever there was a problem, the higher-ups immediately dispatched our team, Vidal explained. And it's not like we're the only knights in the Empire either. But it wouldn't look good to fire an entire civilian order, so some speculated the higher-ups deliberately sent us commoners to die on the battlefield. That's why I left, he finished. For my safety. I became a ministry official. You must have been through so much, Roll murmured, looking at him slumping. Vidal thinks. Maybe I should stop with the depressing talk now, then he said. Oh yes, I do have some good news to share as well. I got married in my hometown recently, and my wife is, Roll cut in. Your wife is Kira, right? Upon hearing that, Vidal jumps in shock. What? How did you know? Roll chuckled. How could I not? It would be stranger if I didn't know, when the two of you were always together, he replied. It wasn't that we were always together. She just always found me to beat me up, he laughed. Well, you deserve to be beaten up for gambling, Vidal nervously laughed and said. Ha ha ha, that's enough about me. Do you have any good news yourself? Roll replied. No, He stopped remembering about Lemil and chuckled. Then he clears his throat and said, No, I don't. He wonders, why did I just think of Lady Lemil? You hesitated, Vidal said, narrowing his eyes. He pestered him. I'm being honest, Roll insisted. Vidal stared at him, eyes mischievous. He usually just laughs it off. But he's acting a little weird today. Then he said, I'm on business at the moment, so why don't we discuss this in more detail next time? Alright then, let's get back to my pension application, Roll agreed. Sure. As he looked over his papers, Vidal's thoughts turned grim. I thought his financial situation would be fine, but it's the exact opposite. I'm amazed he's kept himself afloat until now. How did this happen? He must have struggled so much on his own. I need to do my best to help him from now on. He clenches his fists with determination and said, Don't worry, my lord, your financial situation could use some assistance, but it should be fine once you start receiving your pension. Just count on me, my lord. Roll felt touched and said, Yes, I will. A few days later a letter came from Vidal. It reads, I'm so sorry, my lord, I don't think you'll be able to receive the pension. When I asked my supervisor for the reason, all he could say was that the vice minister wouldn't approve it. It was strange. Even my supervisor couldn't understand the decision. I kept asking the vice minister about it, but it's the same response each time. I know you're not that type of person, but just in case, are you on bad terms with the vice minister? While reading the letter, Roll said, Of course not. I don't even know anyone else in the Ministry of Finance. Then he continued reading. I'll keep looking into this case. I'm really so sorry to have to bring you this bad news. Roll fell in despair. He thought, Vidal doesn't have to apologize, he did nothing wrong. I only inconvenienced the people around me. First, my heart core burst. Then, the research for my treatment failed. And now, I've lost my new bit of hope. Am I just unlucky? He went to the wall where his sword was hanging. He pulls out his sword saying, If only I could use my aura again. He swings his sword but nothing. He scoffed to himself. What did I expect? That my aura would miraculously return to me? Suddenly Lemil came, their footsteps echoing. She burst open the door and called out, Viscount Arnon, good afternoon. As she went close to him, her breath caught. What's going on? Why does he look like that? Roll said darkly. Oh, welcome, Lady Lemil. She paused when she saw his sword. This seems like bad timing. Hello? She said hesitantly. He asked, Are you here to propose to me again? I know this probably isn't the right mood, but... She suddenly grinned and struck a pose. You bet I am, she said inwardly. You think I'll back down that easily? There came a slight pause of awkwardness. Then Roll said, I'm sorry, Lady Lemil. She laughed lightly. Haha, you don't have to apologize. But her smile softened. My lord? Did something happen? No, he replied, avoiding her gaze. Nothing at all, she freaked internally. But you literally look like the most depressed person in the world. It's not like I can keep questioning him about it either. God, this is driving me crazy. She looked him over with growing concern. Ah, I see. She quickly gestured toward the window. Look here, my lord. Isn't the weather really nice today? He replied. So it is, she suggested. Yes. Then why don't we have ourselves a little outing with Army? Thank you for the offer, he said politely. But I'm afraid I have work to get done. He paused, then continued. Still, it would be a pity to let such a day go to waste. Why don't you and Army just go? While in carriage with Army, Lemil wonders, what in the world happened to Roll? Army leaned back in the carriage. Wow, this carriage is so comfy. Seeing Lemil's dry response, Army said, "If only Roll could have joined us." Then she caught herself. "Oops. I've been thinking about Roll too much," Army nervously added. "He was fine until this morning." "This morning?" Lemil echoed. "Yes. I delivered a letter from his friend then," Army explained. "He must have been waiting for their letter because he smiled as soon as he saw who it was from. I think their name was Videl." "Wait, Videl?" Lemil froze. "That's the name of Roll's comrade in the story. If it was Videl's letter, we must be at the part when his pension gets denied. But why does the vice minister deny his pension? The novel didn't mention much about the Ministry of Finance." "Well, I guess, except for the part when Roll fought with them alone to provide proper compensation for injured knights." "Lady Lemil?" Army's voice pulled her back. "Is something on your mind? You looked a bit scary just now." "Oh?" Lemil blinked, then quickly composed herself. "Oh, I was just thinking about what we should do today. Where do you want to go first, Army?" "Where I want to go." The girl perked up. "I want to go to the theater," Lemil repeated. "The theater?" But Army quickly retracted. No! I misspoke. On second thought, I don't want to go to the theater," Lemil asked. "Then where else?" Army quickly looks around and saw Park's board. She slumped, saying, "The park?" Lemil asked. "Are you sure about that?" She thinks for a moment, then calls her Army, she replied. "Yes?" Lemil asked. "Are you worried about the ticket price?" Army shouts, embarrassed. No, and not at all." Lemil studied her closely. And I thought she was very mature for her age. "So she's aware Roll's facing financial difficulties?" Lemil asked again. "Really?" Army blurted out in frustration. "Yes. Really. In fact, I don't care to see the extremely popular white flower of the temple even in the slightest." "Oh," Lemil smirked. "Well, that's too bad," Army asked. "What is?" Lemil acted sad. "I happen to love going to the theater." "Really?" Army blinked. Seeing that Lemil thinks she took the bait. "Yes." Lemil nodded, putting on a dramatic sigh. "But I hate going there by myself." "That's why I was thrilled when you said you wanted to go," Army replied. "But the tickets are very expensive." Lemil acted, crying. "I thought I'd finally found myself a theater friend. But I guess I was wrong." She sniffled. Crocodile tears. "Then should we go together?" Army asked cautiously. Lemil replied. "No. I wouldn't want to force you or anything." Army finally gave in. "Actually, I do want to go to the theater." Lemil pressed on. "Really?" She replied. "Yes." Lemil continued. "You're not lying, are you?" Army jumped with excitement. "No, I'm not. I really want to go. I really want to go." Lemil smiled warmly. "Really? I'm so grateful you'd go with me." "Let me buy the tickets then," Army asked nervously. "Are you sure that's all right?" Lemil patted her, saying, "Of course. It's totally all right." The carriage went towards the theater. Meanwhile, Roll was falling in despair, drinking. After the play, they went to a cafe. While drinking tea, Lemil asked, "Did you enjoy the play, Army?" "Yes," she replied, her eyes still wide with excitement. "It was even more fun than I thought. I especially liked the scene where the male lead's illness got miraculously cured." "Yeah, I figured," Lemil said with a smile. No surprise there. It was a romance play about a man recovering from an incurable illness. Perhaps Army thought about Roll when she saw the male lead. But the story had a happy ending, and Lemil hoped this day would become a warm memory for Army. Then Army looked outside and pointed. "Come to think of it, I walked this same street with Roll once." Upon hearing that, Lemil thinks this was never mentioned in the novel. Army continued, "It was my first time in the capital, and Roll took me around the city whenever he could. I got to try all kinds of delicious foods, and there were so many interesting sights to take in." Lemil said, "Viscount Arnon really is the kindest person. We were supposed to watch that play together next time," Army murmured. Her voice grew quieter. "To be honest, I still can't believe my big brother's unable to walk now." Lemil reaches out to Herm. "Army, he will be able to walk again," she remembers. "I'm sure of it. It was a major plot point in the novel." Army nods and said, "But I'm worried. He's been looking really sad lately. He seemed fine back when he was working on research with Viscount Rosen, but now, he just seems down all the time." So she's noticed Roll's been in a bad place these days. Lemil thought, suddenly tense. How should I comfort her? "That's why," Army continued, glancing up at Lemil with a mix of hope and hesitation. "I'd like to ask you for a favor, Lady Lemil." Lemil thinks, Army wants to ask me for a favor? Army added, "Could you visit us often while you're staying in the capital? I think you've been bringing some color into my big brother's gray life. Lemil's heart squeezed at the sincerity in the girl's voice. I'm so touched Army thinks that way. I was worried I was only wasting Roll's time. Sure, she said brightly. However, I'd like to ask you for a favor too, she giggled mischievously. Then they went to a boutique. Lemil offered. Go on. Choose whatever you want. Army gets shocked. Pardon? Why you mean, a dress? You should start by buying Miss Army a dress, a voice in Lemil's head advised. She recalled her conversation with Karel. She pointed, isn't that too cliché? Karel replied, you're so clueless. The flashier the gift, the longer it's remembered. Look, whenever Miss Army wears the dress you bought for her, she'll think of you. And it doesn't stop there. Even Viscount Arnon will be reminded of you when he sees it. Lemil argued, no way a simple dress will be able to pull that off. Karel questioned, then do you have a better idea? She replied, nope. Now back Lemil thinks, it sounds a bit outrageous. But it could work. Army trued different dresses. Oh my gosh! So cute! Lemil squealed inside the boutique. I'll take all of them. Lady Lemil, that's way too many. Army protested, overwhelmed. I can't accept such an expensive gift. She must have seen the price tags while she was changing, Lemil realized. But she wouldn't back down that easily. You made a deal with me, she said firmly. You need to follow through with it. Can we just pretend it never happened? Army pleaded. Lemil thinks. This looks like I'm making you buy the dresses. Absolutely not, Lemil said, hands on her hips. A lady must always keep her word, she thinks. I feel like I'm turning into a bad person here, but Army still protested. Fine then. Lemil sighed, pretending to yield. Let me buy you just 5 dresses, Army insisted. What? 1 is enough. 4 then, Lemil said, narrowing her eyes. I won't yield any more than this, Army continued. 2. No more, Lemil countered. Like I'll back down that easily. All right, 3 it is. This negotiation is over. Excuse me, Lemil called to the clerk. I'd like to pay now, Army still tried. But, the clerk quickly complied. Yes, ma'am. Oh, 1 moment, please. I could only buy 3, she sighed dramatically. But Army smiled up at her and said softly, Thank you, Lady Lemil. I'll wear them with care. Nah, don't worry, Lemil said. Clothes are made to be worn anyway. Wear them all the time for me. Okay, next, I'll buy her a building. She thought, fired up. This gift plan is amazing. Look how happy she is. Then she writes up her address at a paper and gave it to Army. This is the address of the inn I'm staying at. If you ever want to get in touch, send me a letter there. Of course, she said with a shy smile. Feel free to contact me anytime. In her mind she prayed, please. I hope she'll ask me for help when that time comes. Later at night, Army returned to the manor. Then she asked, Where's Roll? Oh, the servant replied. His lordship is in his office. Army smiled. Thank you. As Army walked inside, a strange feeling settled in her chest. This is odd. Roll always comes to greet me when I return. Her steps slowed. She was about to open the door but froze, recalling a previous day. She wonders, what if it's like that day again? She recalled while opening the door. She heard Roll calling. Get Viscount Rosen! Right now! My legs. I can't move my legs. She thinks it was just like this that day as well. What if something terrible has happened again? But she clenched her fists, forcing her thoughts to still. No, I shouldn't think like that. She remembers Lemil's word. He will be able to walk again. She thought, Lady Lemil even gave me hope. I need to stay positive as Roll's sister. She shakes her head, then went in. She pushed the door open and called. I'm back, Roll. Army, came Roll's calm voice. Welcome back. Phew. She let out a breath of relief. He's the same as usual. Roll smiled, cheeks a little red. She calls out, noticing. Roll, he replied. Yes? She was staring at her, so he asked. Is there something on my face? Army observed. He seems a bit unkempt. Or is it just my imagination? Ever since that incident, my brother has occasionally been drinking when no one's around. Don't tell me, she said. Oh, you just look a bit red, he replied. It must be because the room is a little hot. Oh, of course, she said quickly, brushing the thought aside. I guess I worried for nothing. By the way, Army, Roll said, his eyes glancing over her. I don't think I've seen that dress before. It looks great on you. Oh, this dress? She hesitated, then smiled. If I tell him about the day I spent with Lady Lemil, I'm sure Roll will be delighted too. So, she began brightly. We did this and that, and then she brought me all the way back home. He patted her. Sounds like you had a lot of fun. Yes, She nodded. You should come with us next time. Upon hearing that, Roll grips the wheel of the chair. He averted his gaze, saying, well, but Army quickly added, it can be way later in the future if you want, but promise me that you will, someday. She extends her pinky for promise. All right, he said gently. I promise. I'm going to go to bed now, Army said with a bow. You should get some sleep too, Roll replied. Sure. Good night. As the door closed, Roll sat in silence. He said aloud, I'm glad she had fun. Then as he turns using his wheelchair, the wine bottle he was hiding spilled. He reaches for it while tear drops from his eyes. He said to himself, I'm the worst. The next day Karel was waking Lemil. Wake up, my lady. Just 5 more minutes. Lemil mumbled, her voice muffled by her blanket. Karel said flatly, I'll send Garan back then. Her eyes opened groggily. Garan? Huh? Who's that? Why did you get up if you don't even know? Karel teased. Don't you remember those 2 thugs you hired last time? Oh, them. She sat up straighter. Then Karel added, Guess you'll need some time to get ready, since you're just waking up. Don't worry about that, Lemil said coolly, getting out of bed. I have my ways, Karel asked. Your ways? What? What just happened? She gets shocked as Lemil gets ready in no time. Sure, Lemil said. Don't ask. You'll get hurt. They went to meet Garan. As he saw them, he waved to them. Lady Lemil, over here. Looking at him, Lemil asked, You sure that's the same guy I beat up before? Karel replied skeptically, Maybe he's lost his memories from the shock. It's been a while, my lady, he greeted cheerfully. Let's skip the greetings, Lemil said sharply. So did you find out who your original client was? He replied oblivious. Nope. Still haven't got a clue. Lemil's brow twitched. She punched him several times, but Karel quickly stops her. My lady, please stop. There are many eyes watching, Garan requested. No, I really did the best I could. But how were you supposed to figure out his identity when he wore a hood and a mask? Lemil asked. So you've found out nothing? He replied. No, I've brought you something else. Really? She said, eyes narrowing. She glanced at him, and he was looking serious. She smiled. Great. Tell me, he began explaining. A few days ago, Garan and Garan went to meet with their client. Hey, Garan, whispered nervously. What if the client tries to kill us when we tell him we failed? Garan didn't look concerned. He probably didn't expect us to succeed anyway, Garan asked. You think so? Before Garan could answer, their client arrived. A cold chill passed over both men. He's here, the person glared at them. The man's voice was calm and low. So how did the job go? We failed, Garan said, bowing his head. Forgive us, the man said nothing at first. Then, have a seat, they complied. Yes, sir. Then he asked, Why did you fail? She was stronger than what you told us, Garan said quickly. Even the 2 of us together were no match for her, the person said. Tell me more. We tried to threaten her, just like you asked, the other added. But as soon as I drew my sword, she completely changed. Her reflexes were incredible, and her fighting techniques flawless. After that, Garan muttered, we were pretty much just punching bags. Then Garan added, if we'd kept fighting, she would have killed us. The client's brow furrowed. But I heard she was so lazy that she always skipped training. How strange, Garan said. That must be a lie, the other stammered. We're certain she's a very skilled fighter. I see. The client rose. Let's forget this ever happened. Thank you, they said in unison, bowing. The person walked away but stopped at the door. Oh, and you know what will happen if you tell anyone about this, right? The freaked out. Yes, of course. After a moment, the man disappeared into the shadows. Did he leave? The thug whispered. Yeah, I think so, Garan replied. Then Garan grimaced. But does that guy not shower at all? Man, he stinks. How could someone smell like a rotting corpse? Garan said. That's not important. Hurry, we have to follow him. They slipped into the streets, tracking him from a distance. There he is, one whispered. As another masked person appears, Garan said. Someone's approaching him. They're wearing a hood too. They must know each other. Are they even trying to be discreet? The 2 tailed the figures to a quiet building and crouched near a closed door. Garan asked. They went inside this room, right? Yeah, Garan replied. Do you think that old trinket's going to work? Garan used a tin can to hear what's inside. They were talking. He said, we have no other options besides this eavesdropping artifact. Sure, a muffled voice came from inside. The first person said. They failed to drive away Lady Lemil, the other replied. Really? That's unexpected. What? the eavesdroppers thought. Is the black-hooded guy also working for a client? If you could just give me the order again, the man inside said. I'll find someone more capable. No, the second voice interrupted. Let's put that matter aside for now. Garen figured out. So the black-hooded guy is the subordinate here. Just who could the other person be? The person continued. What we need to focus on is Vidal from the Ministry of Finance and, due to the clacking sound of the can, the first person interrupted. Just a moment, the voice paused. Garen froze. Why did they stop talking all of a sudden? Did they notice we were eavesdropping? He quickly springs up and said, We're leaving, Garen asked. Already? Garen whispered in panic. I think they noticed. They ran away. The first person opens the door and looked around. What's the matter? The second voice asked. He replied, Nothing. I must have been mistaken. I thought I heard something scrape the door. He closed the door while Garen scurried away. His explanation ended with, That's what happened. Lemil remarked, That's actually useful information. Great job. Garen gulped proud. She thinks in her mind. So they mentioned Vidal at the end. That's unexpected. The person who wants me out of the capital is also concerned about Vidal. The realization hit Lemil like a gust of cold air. I get what they're after now. First off, she thought Vidal and I have one thing in common. We can both help Roll. In other words, this person doesn't want anyone helping him. Was there someone in the story who would gain something from keeping Roll in check? So what should we do next? Garen asked. Huh? Lemil blinked. He asked, Should we continue digging into the black-hooded guy? He smelled like bad business. He literally smelled bad too. While I don't have all the details, Lemil thought seriously, I at least know that this person is trying to harm Roll. Then it would be best to track him down and learn his next move. She throws another gem at Garen and said, You don't need to find out who the black-hooded guy is yet. Just figure out what requests he's taking on. Garen sparkled looking at the gem. I'll do my best, then Lemil said. I'm counting on you. I'll be going now. As she turned to leave, a shadow fell over her thoughts. It seems, this enemy might be more dangerous than I thought. Then she went back to her inn. She gathered her companions and asked, So what kind of person would resent Viscount Arnon? Probably someone from the north, don't you think? Came the reply. She asked. Someone from the north, the speaker nodded. The Viscount may be a hero in the Empire, but to our enemies, he's practically a war demon. You're right, Lemil agreed. But why just harass him instead of killing him outright? The person replied. Because that would only complicate things, Lemil asked. How so? He began explaining. Let's say the Viscount was assassinated one day. What do you think would happen if it were revealed the North was behind it? They would gain a bad reputation, Lemil guessed. The person continued. Exactly. Worst case scenario? They go to war, she questioned. Couldn't they just hide the fact that they did it? Why waste time keeping an eye on him? It would seem simpler to just kill everyone who might testify against them. Her companion replied, Absolutely not. Even if they covered their tracks perfectly, the Imperial Court would launch its own investigation. We're talking about Viscount Arnon. He pointed. There's no way they'd be able to get rid of all the Empire's knights. Why not? Lemil murmured, thinking. He replied, Stop talking like a villain. So instead of killing him, she concluded. They want to isolate him, he said. That's right. It would be better to obsessively stalk him, until he breaks down on his own. Lemil fell in deep thoughts. So they're a group with enough power to pressure the Ministry of Finance, but only want to isolate Roll. She bites her nail. Just who could those bastards be? Then Karel called out. My lady! What? Lemil jumped slightly. Do you know something? She replied. No, I was just wondering if you had forgotten about going to propose again this afternoon. Come on, she groaned. I thought you had a lead. Right, she sighed, regaining her composure. Whoever this mysterious group may be, things will get resolved super easily once I marry Roll. My family can protect his. Moments later, Roll stood before her again. I'll have to reject you once more. Super easily, my butt, Lemil cried internally. I've been rejected again. Then Roll paused. Lady Lemil, I'd like to know the true reason you keep proposing to me. She scratches her cheek. The true reason? Roll began. Normally, when someone is rejected 3 or more times, but she cut in. It's very humiliating, right? He said. Yes, honestly, Lemil admitted. I didn't expect to propose to you this many times either. Roll apologized. Forgive me, she continued. But, each time I come here and get rejected, I'd become even more certain of it. You truly are a good person, my lord. Upon hearing that, he murmurs, Me? A good person? It's hard to put in words, she said, her tone softer now. But I just have this feeling that I'll be happy every single day if I marry you. Upon hearing that, he replied, To be honest, I still don't understand. Ha ha, Lemil laughed softly. I would feel the same way too. She thinks in her mind, Ro must just see me as an idiot deeply in love. But as someone who's read his story, I really do know how good he is. I know it better than anyone else. This distance between us simply can't be helped, since the starting points of our emotions are drastically different. Then she stood up and said, I'd like to see Army before I go. Will that be all right? He replied. Yes, she's on the second floor. Then he remembers and said, I heard you bought a few dresses for her. Thank you very much. I feel bad always receiving your help like this. Please don't, Lemil insisted quickly. I bought them because I wanted to, he fidgeted saying, but, forget it, she thought uneasily. Is he going to tell me to stop buying things for Army just like she did? She quickly said. I'd really like to see Army right this second. I'll head upstairs now, so goodbye, he replied. Oh, sure. Without missing a second, she dashed off saying, If you'd excuse me then. After she left, he said aloud, I was going to ask her if I could join her next time. Never mind. It's better I didn't ask. No matter how much I think about it, she's too good for me. She went to Army's room and opens the door. Army! I'm here, Lady Lemil. Army greeted cheerfully. Lemil asked, How've you been? Great. Army smiled. Then Lemil asked, By the way, Army, she replied. Yes? Lemil asked, poking her cheek. How come you're not wearing the dress I bought you? She hesitated him. Well, Lemil asked. What, did you wear one of them yesterday? No. Army admitted, eyes lowered. I can't wear them because they're too precious. Is that so? Lemil replied, sounding a little disappointed. That makes me sad, she asked. What? You see, Lemil said smoothly. We of the Claude family have a custom of showing off how much use we get out of things. We consider that polite. This was a lie. I didn't know, Army gasped. I'll make sure to wear them often from now on. Great. Lemil's expression brightened. Anyway, were you studying? Math? She looks at her book and it was maths. Ugh. I suck at math. I should change the subject. Yes, I was working on math problems, Army answered diligently. Lemil asked. I see. Is your brother teaching you? She replied. Yes. He and Lord Dallas, Lameld repeated. Lord Dallas? Army asked. Do you know him? She replied. Not exactly. This isn't good, Lemil thought, trying to hide her nerves. That name sounds familiar. I'm sure he came up in the novel. But who was he? She forced her mind. What do I do? I really have no idea who this Baron is. Maybe I can figure it out if I ask Army about him. Does Lord Dallas visit you often? She asked, hoping for a lead. Oh, actually, he hasn't been here this month, Army replied. He must be busy with his shop. Upon hearing that, Lemil thinks, a shop? So he's a merchant? That narrows things down a little. But I still can't remember who he is. I'll just have to find out for myself whether this person is an enemy or not, she asked. Could you tell me where his shop is? Army nodded enthusiastically. Yes. I can show you on a map. Army shows her a map and marked it. Here, thank you, Lemil said. Then Army asked, But why do you want to see him? She froze for a moment, scrambling for a reason, then blurted out. Because I have a lot of interest in math. I'd like to have a serious mathematical debate with him, I guess. Wow. So you not only like etiquette but math too? Army exclaimed, pure admiration in her voice. Lemil said while feeling guilt. You bet. I love both. Then she quickly left saying, I'm off to meet Lord Dallas then. See you again, Army. As she bolted out the door, Army called out after her. Lady Lemil really is so passionate about learning. When she returned to the carriage, Karel asked, surprised. You're back already? I need to go see this Lord Dallas person right now, she said firmly. Karel asked. Are you going for the shower him with gifts tactic? What do you plan to buy? Lemil asked. Huh? How did you know he's a merchant? Karel told about him that there were news articles about him. As Lemil doesn't knew anything, Karel asked, shocked. What? He was mentioned in the papers several times, and his self-help book completely sold out. How do you not know him? Lemil asked flatly. Do you think I'd read something like that? Karel replied. Well, the types of books you usually read are. She trailed off. Lemil started thinking about it, so she quickly shrieked. Kya, my lady! Please have some dignity and grace as a noble. Then Lemil asked. Ahem. So what kinds of things does he sell? She replied. He handles all sorts of merchandise. Clothes, accessories, jewels, food, probably weapons too. After hearing that, Lemil remembers, oh, right, he was the merchant who traded weapons with Roll in the novel. But there was definitely more to him than just that. We're here, my lady, Karel said, pulling her out of her thoughts. She thinks after getting down. I guess I'll find out when I see him. They looked around and rang the bell. But there was not response. Karel suggested. Looks like nobody is around. But Lemil listens closely and said, Wrong, Karel asked, her voice tense. My lady. Lemil paused then said, Someone's trying to walk as noiselessly as possible. Upon a closer look, the door was slightly ajar and clearly broken. Someone forced their way in. Lemil quickly ordered. Karel, go and fetch a doctor just in case something's happened, she complied. Okay. Then Lemil moved cautiously inside. I don't see anyone. Maybe they're on the second floor. She raised her voice. Excuse me. I'm here to buy a few things. She went inside the room showing no suspicion. There was a cloaked person hidden inside. He tried to struck her but she was ready. She quickly countered him and said, So you tried to sneak up on me like a coward. A figure stepped into view cloaked in black. She looked at him and thinks, not surprising. Behind him was a person unconscious lying on the table. She wonders, is that Lord Dallas? Who are you? The person demanded. She shot back. That's what I want to ask you, Xing. A blade gleamed in her hand. The person warned. I won't go easy on you just because you're a woman. You don't know how to read the room, do you? She said, narrowing her eyes. Are you actually the black-hooded guy? Or are you here on a request? Why are you here? As he attacked, she countered him, hitting at his neck. Then she said, If you don't talk, this won't end with just a punch. The figure slumped. She said ominously, Why do you think I drew my sword? Suddenly she heard a cough from Lord Dallas. Blood seeped from his mouth. Seeing her distracted, the cloaked person bolted towards the window and jumped from it. Hey! Stop right there! She shouted as he ran away. Standing at the window, Lamel looked at her two options. Damn it! I should be able to catch him if I go after him now. But the Baron might be in danger. She felt conflicted. Who should I choose?